Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Blue Balloon and I am Soumya, and since 2024 is literally in like less than a week, I decided to make a video on 10 things that I took back from, or 10 important lessons that I took back from 2023. And it's again more of a video for me only, so that my future self can look back and go like, oh, this is what I learned in this year. But I hope that you all will watch this video and also relate to it. So yeah. So number one, not everything you want is everything you need. And I think this was one of the most important things that I took back from this year. It is because, we all are human beings, and as human beings we all crave or desire different things. And when it is in our head, it all appears to be really nice because, we see other people having the things that we want and we envy them. And we can only wonder how good our lives will become, how perfect our lives will become once we have those things. But then once you have those things, it does not necessarily mean that your life does get better. Because when you see other people having those things, you are just seeing it from an external perspective. You're not actually living it. You have no idea what is going on in their lives. You can just see what they are showing you. So you need to be really, really careful what you wish for, what you go after, because sometimes, you wish for things that you cannot handle, or you wish for things that you don't even need. So I might want certain things, but maybe those things are not necessarily meant for me. And it's a really harsh truth and a really sad truth, but it is the truth. Number two, maintaining relationships are actually more difficult than getting into them. Again, basically as human beings, we all have this desire to be liked, wanted, appreciated and everything. And we all want a lot of relationships. It could be even in a platonic way and even in a romantic way. Relationships with your parents, friends, a partner, anything. But once you actually get them, you really need to know how to actually maintain them. Because getting into one is not the most difficult part. It is how you handle everything after that. How you need to start looking at things from even the other person's perspectives. You need to understand the other person. There are a lot of compromises that one needs to make in a relationship. So it's really difficult to maintain it. And if you learn how to maintain a relationship, I think that's one of the best things that you could do. So yeah. So number three, now this is a little controversial, but for me, this is personally from my own experience, that getting from bottom to top is much more easier than staying at the top. And I think what my logic behind this is that when you are at the bottom, you have this motivation, you have this fuel that you want to see yourself at the top, that you do not want to stay at the bottom. Nobody likes staying at the bottom. Nobody likes being at this place in their life where they are hopeless or sad or completely given up on everything. So you have this motivation, and although it's really difficult to pick yourself up from there because, as I said, you have completely given up, but you at least have a reason to pick yourself up, because you could see a vision that this is who I want to be. But what if you reach where you want to be? What if you have achieved everything you wanted to achieve? And then you reach this point where you're just like, now what? I have achieved what I wanted to achieve. Now what am I supposed to do? Now where is the thrill? Where is the desire? Where is the passion? Now you do not really know what to look forward for. You do not know what you can treat as a motivation, as a fuel. So to be able to have it all and still have a passion or still have a fuel, I think that is one of the most difficult yet one of the most important things that one should aspire to have. Number four, being delusional is way better than being an aimless wanderer. I think we often make fun of people who are have really these big ass unrealistic dreams, and they may probably get excited over little things, and you're like, that's never even going to happen. Why are you thinking of the things that are never going to happen? The thing is, being delusional, dreaming really big, dreaming about things that may or may not even take place, that is way better than just not dreaming at all. Because when you're an aimless wanderer, when you have no passion, no dreams, no nothing, you're just there, you're like a machine, you are doing things on a routine. You have a routinely way of doing things, like you're just repeating the same cycle every single day. It's like you're working on this autopilot mode. You have no mind of your own. The purpose of life is to find a purpose. And if you're just working for the sake of working, that's really a boring way to live life. So I think it's better for you to be delusional, for you to dream really, really, really big about things that may or may not take place. That's not in your hands. Just dream. Don't just always be going with the flow. Have something, like maybe go with the flow, but at the same time have this destination in mind, that this is where I hope the flow takes me. Something along that line. Number 5, your learning process doesn't give you the right to hurt others. And I think again, this was a very, very, very important thing that I learned this year, especially if you're in the age of 18 to 22 or something. Not even 18, I think before that. You're kind of in the space where you're learning, discovering yourself, growing. So you're in this place in life where you will end up hurting a lot of people. You will end up doing things that you don't want to do, because that is how you learn. But just because you are learning, just because you are growing, just because you are in that phase of your life, that doesn't make it an excuse for you to repeatedly keep hurting others. Because obviously you also need to realize that other people are human beings as well. Even they are in that phase of their life, that stage of their life. So basically what I'm saying is that sometimes accidentally you end up hurting others in that process. But if it's happening repeatedly, I think voluntarily you need to try not to do it. And this brings me to my next point, which is that actions speak more than words. Change in your actions bring about more of an impact than an apology. When you made a mistake, you can say sorry 100 times, but if there is no change in your action, that word sorry implies nothing. It means nothing. It's just a word. And that is why I believe that if ever you make any kind of mistake, definitely go ahead, say sorry. But at the end of the day, you have to strive to bring about a change in your actions and your behavior that the other person can see. Obviously when you made a mistake, maybe the other person has felt hurt. And you can't undo your actions. So there's no point in self-loathing, wondering that you shouldn't have done it or something down that line. You have to focus on what you can do now. And what you can do now is to, purposefully or voluntarily make sure that you do not repeat what you did. And I think that is the best form of apology that a person can give to another person. Now we have this point number 7. To always stay grounded and never forget the real ones. I think, in this rut of life, in this fast-paced life, you meet so many new people every single day, and you form so many strong connections, so many, strong bonds with different people, that it's very likely that while you're chasing a new person, you have forgotten another person who has been there for you in your difficult times. And it's not just about friends, but even with parents. Often people, they tend to give more time to their friends instead of their parents. Because, obviously as teenagers, you are more likely to want to enjoy, to want to do this, to want to do that. But you also need to realize that your parents also want to spend time with you. So you need to figure out a way to balance time between the people you love. Respect is earned where respect is given. You have to give respect if you want respect. You have to give people your time and attention if you want it from them as well. It works both ways. And do not take people for granted just because they're there for you every time. So make sure you're there for the people who've been there for you, and it's perfectly normal to create new connections, form new bonds. But at the end of the day, do not treat anyone in a way that you wouldn't want yourself to be treated. I think this is one of my biggest mottos of life, and it really helps you, understand where you're going wrong if you are. So now we come to our 8th point. That is a very vague point, to be honest. It's like a very simple statement. Do not be afraid. It's a very simple but a very, very, very important statement. I feel like a lot of us spend half of our lives living in fear, living in worry, living in anxiety, and it takes away, that portion of life from us, because we're not really living. When you are, always afraid, you have always things going on in your head, are you really living? So the thing is that whether it's related to a person, whether it's related to a thing, whatever, you need to stop being afraid. I mean, it's a very easy thing to say, and it's not a very easy thing to actually implement, but we all know deep down that is what will actually give us a portion of our life back. Often we spend time worrying about things that are not even in our control, and what happens is that it doesn't really help, because you are worrying about something that you cannot control in any way. So how is you worrying or stressing over it really going to change the circumstances? It's not. So it's better to just leave things as it is if it's something that's not in your control. And if you're worrying about something that is in your control, it is in your control. You can literally change it. Do it. Focus on the action instead of just, letting it go over and over again in your head. Bring about the change that you want to see instead of worrying about why you cannot see the change. How can you see the change if you're not taking that specific action? Also, when I say do not be afraid, it can even be related to confrontations, because honestly, I'm a very shit confrontation. I cannot handle confrontations. I'm very good at texting though. I can write a huge ass paragraph. But if it's like real life, I cannot confront a person. And I think the reason why that is so is because I'm really, really scared. I'm scared that I will say something that won't make sense. I'm scared that I'll embarrass myself or anything, But if you believe in something firmly, if you know that you're right, stand up for yourself. Do not stay silent, because then you'll just be walked all over. And obviously that it also depends from situation to situation. In some situation it is better to stay silent, but most of the times we stay silent not because it's better, but because we're afraid. And if that is the case, do not. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to speak up. And if it's about something like, as I said, embarrassing yourself or something like that, I think you need to realize that whatever thing that you're feeling embarrassed about, there have probably been 100 other ancestors who have dealt with the same thing. So you're definitely not alone. It's all about how you handle it. It is embarrassing if you think of it as embarrassing. Otherwise, it's cool. If the same thing that you do, let's say some super cool celebrity, Dakota Johnson or somebody does it, you would just call her slay queen, clumsy, she's so cool, we love it. Then why are you targeting yourself so bad? So I think you really, really, really need to just be brave, a little braver this year. Next year. Now we come to our second last point, that is the 9th point. Be very careful with how you spend your money. I think this is a very important thing, because often, you get carried away. You use up your money in superficial things. Let's say you're tired, you're always going out to buy an energy drink, you're always going out to munch on some snacks. Well and good, it's perfectly fine, but there is a limit. And this also, brings me to another concept, that is to really realize what your budget is, to really realize what you can afford. Because often what we do is, there's no rich. When you call somebody rich, there's no particular amount that a person can define. It's very how do I say it, it's a variable. It depends from people to people. Some people that I consider rich do not consider themselves rich, and they go I wish I was richer. So that's the thing, everybody has this desire to have more money than they already have. And sometimes what people do is that they start pretending like they already have that amount, which they don't even have in reality. So what this leads to is that them spending money on unnecessary stuff that they shouldn't be spending on, and not actually valuing it. So make sure you do not splurge money or not spend it on things that you don't really need. Sometimes it's definitely fine, because I think we all sometimes want to spend things on something really stupid or something that just gives us joy for a while. That's perfectly fine, but again, there is a limit. If you feel you're spending too much money, or if you're spending more money than you feel like you should be spending, you should take a step back and you should realize that this is not what you should be doing. Don't just do it because other people are doing. Don't just do it because you feel pressured to. Because at the end of the day, it is your money, it is your life, so it's affecting you. So you have to think about yourself. So this brings me to my final point, that is the 10th point, and that is stop worrying about other people liking you. Focus on you liking yourself, because I often feel like in this, desire or in this chase of wanting to be liked, validated, whatever, you often forget to see whether the things that you are doing would make you like yourself as a person. And I think that's very important, because what I've realized down the line is that the entire world can like you, the entire world can love you, want you, but if you do not like who you are, it's not really going to matter. It's not going to give you a sense of pride or a sense of happiness, because at the end of the day, you are not satisfied with who you are as a human being, who you are as a person, what you are doing. And if you do not like who you are, how would it ever matter whether the people like you? So you need to really find this middle line between you liking yourself and wanting other people to like. It's totally fine to want other people to like you, because it's a human, I think, desire, whatever. But do not do things just because you'll be liked by the people. And this is also something that I struggle with, because I think I'm a massive people pleaser. So I end up doing things just because I'm so afraid that me saying no is going to trigger somebody and they're going to be like, I do not want to be friends with someone anymore. So I think that's something that I need to work on. We need to really start trying to just do things that we feel is right, do things that we want to do instead of what we think others want us to do. And I think that's the way that we can feel happier. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I hope the 10 points that I mentioned, I hope you all could at least relate to a few points. And if you all could, then please comment down below, and do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I hope you guys have an amazing new year.